Guys, housing data just came out. 2 pieces of data, new construction starts and permits, which is an indicator of future construction starts, came out. Housing starts fell 4.2%. Permits fell 2.4%. So why? I don't know if you guys have noticed, but interest rates have gone up a lot. Mo, have you noticed this?
No, what happened?
Actually, what is the 30-year mortgage at right now? I think it's at...
Yesterday, it was at like 6.92%.
So it got as high as 7.5% at one point, I think last month. Guys, the bottom line is when rates were 2.65% 18, 19 months ago, and now they're 7.5 or 7, that's a big difference. Refinances are down a lot, but even new home construction, if you were planning in the last year of building a new home, you might sit there and say, well, wait a second, my cost just doubled or tripled. That means serious money. How serious? Well, do the math. If you sit here and you have a $300,000 mortgage, and you're buying a home, you're going to have a $300,000 mortgage, 3% versus 7%. That is $9,000 a year in interest versus $21,000 a year in interest. That's $1,000 per month. And if you're buying a home where your mortgage is $300,000, you probably make 100, 150 on the high side on average, because I don't want somebody out there saying, oh, I make $875,000 and my home is $48,000. Great. You're a freak. The point is the average person is not doing that. So $1,000 a month really matters a lot in these kind of mortgages.
6.84% as of today.
Okay. And how high did it get?
Let's see what that was. 7.24.
Okay.
7.24 was
weekly national mortgage rate trends. You know, we have a good friend of ours who owns a mortgage company in Cleveland. I was talking to him about it. He said, listen, Paul, a 30-year-old just came in and bought her first house and she signed up for a 7.5% mortgage like that. Why? Because she's not used to 3%. She wasn't in the market for homes at 3%, so it doesn't affect her. Now, the Fed also came out just today or yesterday and said, hey, we're going to make a new floor here, about 5% in our Fed funds rate. There's talk of a 0.5% increase in December and then followed by several 0.25 quarter point increases over the next few months. What's that going to do? It's going to lead to higher interest costs, right?
I would assume housing would cool a little bit.
Oh, I would
assume and such. It would even more so than before.
Now, the interesting part is this, guys. I'm not 100% convinced.
Wipe your board real quick.
That
you're drawing.
I'm not 100% convinced that housing prices have to collapse like people are saying it will. And here is why. And this is why I bring it up. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying interesting data. And if you've watched our videos in the past, guys, I've brought this up before. And it's really important. And guys, this is why if you're new to the channel, you need to subscribe to us. Hit the subscribe button because I don't look at things the way other people do. I don't look at this housing data and go, oh my God, the world's falling apart. And guess what? If it was awesome, I wouldn't say, oh my God, the world's the greatest thing ever. It is what it is. And my goal is to stand here in my position and look at the things around me and say, what does that mean about a potential future? And I'm either a buyer, a holder, or a seller of equities, real estate, etc. But in 1975, the average rate was 9% on a mortgage. And in 1985, it was 13.5%. That's a 50% increase, right? Now, the average home in 1975 was $32,000, the median home price, okay? 1985, 10 years later, with interest rates going up 50%, what do you think it was? Well, here's the interesting part. It was $82,100. So it almost tripled, 2.5 times higher. Why? Why, Mo? Inflation. In this period of time, we had massive inflation. And inflation is the friend to real estate. So yes, I know for a lot of people out there, inflation is really hurting. And I'm not trying to dismiss that. However, not everything in this world is good or bad in of itself. Mo, you and your family own 2 houses in your neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. Have you thought about selling the second home?
Oh, it's crossed the mind, but not really.
Okay. So if you were to sell it,
I'd get a lot more.
I think so too, because the cost of building that home right now is probably significantly higher than it was 2-3 years ago.
Sure.
You know, I'm doing a remodel now. My fiance and I bought a home. I'm doing a remodel and it's amazing. I'm literally remodeling. I built the house that Mo lives in. It was my house originally. I built it with land, furniture, landscaping, and house. That house I built for $165 a square foot. I'm remodeling the current house with all those things involved with it for about $500 a square foot. That's the difference. And sorry, that's with the acquisition of the house and the land. So taking out the house and the land, it's still going to be $300 a square foot for the remodel. And guess what? I'm signing up completely to it. I'm just like, okay, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that's my point about it. And then I sold Mo his house. I don't know what you can get for your house right now. I didn't want to ask. I might murder you but inflation worked out for him. Inflation is working out for me. And inflation is going to work out for you if you own a home. So be patient. This doesn't necessarily mean that home prices are going to go down. Because guess what? If you've been told back then that 9% is going to become 13.5%, what would you have thought?
I would have thought that the housing market would be, I would buy a house lower than 32,000.
Yeah, I've been like, oh, I'm going to hold off because I'll probably get a cheaper price.
Yep.
Whoops. And that's the reason why we encourage people not to worry about timing the market. Mm-hmm. Worry about if you need a house right now and you plan on staying there a long period of time, just be smart about the purchase and you'll probably do well putting 10 or 20% down and paying it down. And guess what? If you get a mortgage right now for 7.5% and suddenly 2 years from now, Fed decides, you know what, we're going to start lowering rates like crazy and it goes down to 5%, guess what you can do? Refinance. And guess what? These rates are about where they should be. The 10-year treasury in history is about 4.5%, 4.4%. We're right now at 3.8, but it was at upwards of 4.2. So we're not far off. It's not like it was 0% when, 90-day treasuries and the 10-year treasury was at 1.5.
Right.
It's a totally different world out there, but we're starting to get back to more normal stages of the market.
It just seems abnormal because it was so abnormal for such a long time.
Well, we talk about that when it comes to investing. Like Mo, our friends don't know what a bear market is.
Right.
They don't know what a housing crunch is. They don't know these things because they're 32, 33. They have never experienced it before.
Only experienced the good.
Yeah, so they've only experienced the good. To them, a bad market is down 10%.
Right.
That's a bad market.
Right.
To them, a good interest rate, a bad interest rate is 4% because they're like, oh, I've only experienced 3.5%. Yeah. I locked in my mortgage at 4.25, and I'm morbidly afraid that the house is not going to get done, and I'm not going to be able to refinance it.
Yeah.
So anyhow, guys, if you like this, you have to subscribe to the channel. It's well worth it. You will walk away after watching 4 or 5 videos much more knowledgeable about money, and you'll feel better because the more you learn, the less you fear. Thank you very much for your time.